JRT 915. Quite a unique amp, I guess. It's kind of built up two circuits, one 6v6 based and one EL84 based, and kind of the touchstones that they're talking about are like Buddy Holly and the Edge and these kind of things. So I'm going to guess you're talking about a Fender based circuit and a Vox based circuit. But the thing is, you've got them both going on at the same time. So I think drive 1 is probably the higher headroom Fenderish tone, and drive 2 is probably the more Voxy style thing. So we can just try this. In this circuit at the moment, I've got a tremolo, hot springs and a compressor at the end into the 1x10 US Princess. Now obviously you could try different cabs with this, and we'll maybe talk about that a bit later on. Here's just drive 1. So this, I think, makes a good candidate for being a really versatile little amp model. So I'll dial that back to 0, but this cut kind of acts like all the way open. You get almost kind of presence, and then as you roll that off, you roll off some of that top end. So we'll put that back at kind of 5. It seems like a good balance. And this tone control, I think, only get some kind of nice kind of blooming in the lower end. So classic Fenderish tones. I'll keep this down at, well, I'll take this all the way down to 0 now. But for some higher headroom stuff, you might want to keep that drive a little bit lower. But as you crank it up, you get a bit more of a fuller response in the low end. So that's nice to know. Now, let's turn the channel volume back down to default, so at 8. Then we have this drive 2 circuit, so I'll start this one at kind of 3. And what this tone control is doing is essentially introducing a bunch of bright caps. So the actual divided by 13 amp has a 6-position rotary knob, which I guess just has 6 varieties of bright cap circuits. So you'll see as we roll this in, to dial in some of that brightness. So I'll take this cut all the way back down to 0. So that would be like the brightest tone, I guess, if we take a drive down a bit. Taking those bright caps back out. So that kind of gets that chiminess going on, and as you crank the drive a bit more, maybe you'll get a bit more barky. start to get a bit more of that bass response. That's the second part of the circuit. So I guess where some of the fun with this could be is if you set up snapshots going between kind of the Fendery tones and the Vox tones, or the other kind of thing you could do is start to blend the two together. Bring in some of that low end from the Fender, as we remember that as you get that drive up, you bring in a little bit more of that bottom. You get some of that nice kind of Fender roundness in the lower end. Whilst also keeping some of that chime. And obviously you could introduce this cut if you wanted to get rid of some of the chime. Wanting more of that voxy kind of tone, I like to keep this cut quite low. So I think a really versatile little model there. The Drive 2 has, I think, a bit more gain. But really cool tones, I think, especially for these lower gain, kind of mid-gain things. Definitely one that I would recommend looking at. So in terms of speakers that you might want to pair with this, a Celestion Alnico Blue makes quite a lot of sense. You know, a Lazy J comes with one of those, and also is one of the classic speakers that Vox tended to use. The other things you could consider maybe like a G12 H30, so from the Matchless cab, those pair well with Vox amps. But essentially, you know, try whatever you like. So this Princeton kind of speaker I think works quite nicely too. Maybe just think about what kind of speakers pair well with Fenders and Voxes. I guess there's the Jensen Blackbird type stuff, which you might find in, or Jensen speakers in general, you might find in the small Tweed, or you might find this one here, the male, the C12Q, that would be a Jensen type speaker, I think, and the C12N. So just experiment with those. I'll put together some tones now, which I'll play an intro with, kind of with 3 snapshots. I'll have a Vox one here, a Fender one here, and then in the middle I have like a blend of the two. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully that was vaguely interesting. I think I've also put together a preset for PodGo, which I'll drop into the folder if you want me to. Leave a comment and let me know. But yeah, check out the Divided Duo, divided by 13, 9 by 15. Definitely, I think, a real contender for one of the best amps. And most versatile, I think, in the HX Stomp in terms of getting Fender tones and Vox tones. That's kind of unusual. Catch you in a bit. Cheers.